You always knew how to hold everything together. Even what no one noticed was falling apart. The people around you never imagined how much your world was collapsing while you propped theirs up. You learned to swallow your tears while saying, "I'm fine," and smiled, even when your entire body screamed for just a minute of relief. "How strong you are," they said. And you smiled back, almost as a disguised cry for help, because no one realizes that being too strong is exhausting, that smiling too much drains you, that handling everything becomes a weight the heart can't support for long. And then, when no one is looking, you sink into the only place that allows you to exist as your whole self, in the silence of the bathroom, with the door locked, with the lights off, with the muffled sound of your own crying for no one to hear. There you can fall apart. There you don't have to maintain any image. There it's just you and what's too alive to be ignored. How many times have you cried softly so no one would notice? How many times have you locked your pain away in a small room, just to keep pretending everything is under control? You became an expert at appearing fine, even when the world inside you was silently imploding. Some people will look and say it's an exaggeration, that everyone goes through this, but only you know what it's like to carry the pain of others while hiding your own. Only you know the cost of not having the right to fail. You didn't crumble in front of anyone, because you tried that once and they called you dramatic. You didn't ask for help, because those who should have helped you were the ones that expected you to be strong. You didn't allow yourself to fall apart, because you learned that if you fall, no one will lift you up. And that's how the strong woman was born, not by choice but by necessity. You became the foundation for everyone, the one who gives advice, the one who fixes everything, the one no one asks if she's okay, because she always seems to be, but no one knows about the messages you wrote but never sent. No one saw you staring at your phone, waiting for someone to notice that you disappeared. No one noticed? Notice? That word has become a scar on your chest, because you notice everything, but no one notices you. You can feel when someone isn't okay. You notice the lost look, the trembling voice, the hidden gesture. You offer comfort, care, attention. But when it's you who needs, the world goes silent. And the silence hurts more than the absence because it makes it seem like you don't matter, that your pain isn't valid, that you only serve a purpose when you're smiling, serving, supporting. Have you ever asked yourself this? What if I stopped being useful? Would anyone still care? It's cruel to think this way, but you've thought it. And that thought broke you into pieces because you realize that maybe your strength has become a prison, an identity forced upon you, and now no one lets you drop it. You want care, but you don't know how to ask anymore. You want comfort, but you don't know how to receive it anymore. You want to cry, but your mind says, "Stay strong, you've been through worse." And that's the problem. You have been through it all, without support, without comfort, without a pause. And now your body demands attention. Your soul feels heavy. Your light dims gradually, but no one sees. And you pretend not to see as well, to avoid dealing with it. To keep being the strong woman everyone respects, but no one truly knows. Do you recognize yourself in this? Have you ever spent nights when all you wanted was to sleep for days, so you wouldn't have to pretend anymore the next day? You're exhausted, and no one noticed. You lost yourself, and everyone thought it was just a phase. You silently asked for help, and silence answered back. Do you know what's even crueler? It's that the pain of being invisible doesn't come from the lack of gazes, but from the presence of gazes that don't see you. The strong woman you've become was an armor that once saved you, but now you are slowly killing your essence. You no longer find pleasure in the things that used to calm you down. You can't seem to rest even when you're exhausted. You smile without feeling. You pretend to be present, but your soul is far away. And do you know what hurts the most? It's that deep down, you've already understood no one is coming to rescue you, because everyone believes in the version you present. And you maintain that version because you're afraid of what might happen if you let go of everything. But what if I told you that you don't have to bear this weight alone anymore? What if I told you that there's a power even more potent than the one you've learned to portray? A power that doesn't rely on control, that isn't measured by endurance. That doesn't stem from the obligation to keep everything in order, but from the right to be human. Yes, you have the right to be vulnerable, to fall, to get tired, to ask for help. You have the right to be loved, even when you're not strong, especially when you're not strong. But the love you're seeking doesn't start from the outside, it starts from within. And maybe it's time to do something you've never had the courage to do. Lower your guard. Not because you've lost, but because this time you want to truly win. Win against the exhaustion of seeming strong. Win against the fear of being weak. Win against the need to prove yourself all the time. When you get tired of wearing the armor, you will realize something profound. Your strength has never been in what you hold on to, but in what you had the courage to let go of. Comment with a heart if this touched you. If you've been through this, comment, "I needed to hear this." You know, you've always known. Deep down, where no one reaches, there is a voice that has always warned you, but you've learned to silence that voice, to muffle your own cries, to ignore what you felt in the name of what others expected from you. Because from a young age, you were taught to get used to it, to the pain, to the effort, to the absence, to the lack of reciprocity. You've gotten used to everything that a sensitive soul should never accept as normal, but you accepted it, out of fear of being left behind, out of fear of being called weak, out of fear of not being loved if you stopped pleasing others. And on the outside you kept going, helping, organizing, holding it together, but on the inside you were fading away, and still no one noticed, because you continued playing your roles, and the world doesn't care about how you feel as long as you keep being useful. It was then that you understood. To be loved as you are, you'd have to stop being who others expect you to be, and that is scary, because the truth, the one you've always known but never voiced, is that you are exhausted from playing a part. You are tired of being strong out of obligation, tired of holding the world up while no one holds you. You look in the mirror and sometimes don't even recognize who you are anymore. You just know it hurts, that something is missing, that this armor doesn't fit you anymore. It suffocates you, and no one saw this coming, not even you, because this exhaustion didn't arrive suddenly. It crept in gradually, in silence, in absence. In those times you needed to be heard, and the subject was changed. In those messages you sent that were never responded to with the same enthusiasm. In those nights you held back tears so you wouldn't worry anyone. The pain has been building up. Do you realize? Recognizing this isn't easy. It's like facing a mirror you've avoided for years, but it's also the beginning of liberation. Because the time comes when even the mask of the strong woman can't hide the wounded soul. And maybe you're living that moment right now, that instant when the armor starts to crack, and for the first time you feel that something within you refuses to carry on, that you can't go on like this anymore, that you can't pretend anymore, that it doesn't matter how much they praised your strength. It was only used to cover up the pain of never being cared for. You're finally realizing that you weren't made to live in conflict, that your strength shouldn't be tested every single day, that true love doesn't require you to perform. And it hurts to realize this too late, after you've already given so much, after you've diminished yourself so many times out of fear of being abandoned. But this pain is the seed of awakening. It's the pain that announces, enough, no more carrying the weight of the world, no more accepting emotional scraps, no more pretending to be okay so you don't bother anyone, no more romanticizing exhaustion as if it were a badge of honor. You don't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. You weren't born to be the foundation that supports others. While you live shattered on the inside, you were born to be whole, to be loved in rest, in pause, in vulnerability. You were born to exist beyond what you do for others, and yes, this is scary, because you never learned to put yourself first without guilt. But now it's inevitable. Either you choose yourself, or you continue to die in small doses while everyone applauds your strength. You weren't made to live giving until the last drop of energy. You weren't made to accept affection only when you have something to offer in return. Your worth isn't in how many things you fix. It's in what you feel, in who you are, in what no one has ever seen, because you never allowed it to show. And now, maybe it's time to look at yourself with the eyes you use to care for others, to hug yourself with the same patience you offer to those you love, to forgive yourself for having abandoned yourself for so long. Do you realize this? Do you see that even when everything seemed right on the outside, you felt an emptiness you couldn't explain? Now you understand. That emptiness was longing for you, for your voice, for your truth, for the woman who exists behind the warrior, the woman who doesn't need to carry everything, who doesn't need to pretend to be strong, who can ask for help, who can be fragile without being weak. You are not less for needing comfort. You are not less for crying. You are not less for stopping. You are simply alive. And being alive includes this: breaking, stopping, starting over. How many times have you wanted to disappear just to see if anyone would miss you? How many times have you imagined what it would be like if, for just a moment, the world switched places with you? This is the wound of the strong woman. She feels too much, but has learned not to show it. She notices everything, but no one notices her. You still hope that someone will come and say, "I see you. I know you're tired. You don't have to be strong right now." Maybe that person hasn't come yet, but you can be that person. For yourself, you can start lowering your defenses, releasing the weights, saying no with courage, saying, "I can't take it anymore," without fear. This is not weakness, it's healing. You have permission to stop, and to start over from a place where you exist, not just serve. Finish this sentence. Being a strong woman in Brazil is... Have you heard this phrase before? Comment, "Yes, I have." If this text has resonated with you up to this point, write, "I'm seeing everything now." There's a moment when exhaustion ceases to be just tiredness. It becomes a choice. You realize that continuing to hurt in silence is no longer an option. That maintaining the image of the woman who always endures is what prevents you from living what is real. Because what is real does not require effort, does not demand perfection, does not expect resilience. What is real embraces. And you need that. Not more tasks, not more recognition, not more empty compliments that tie you to a strength that only serves to hide the pain. You need a space where you can exist without having to prove anything, without having to control everything, without having to smile all the time. And maybe no one has ever offered you that space, so you spent your life trying to create it on your own. But that place has never been ready. Because it doesn't arise from what you build on the outside, but from what you allow on the inside. And here begins the true path, the journey back to yourself, to your voice, to your needs, to your light. You've spent so much time dimming parts of yourself to fit into roles that you forgot what it truly means to shine. Not this shine that impresses others, but the glow that ignites from within, when you are whole present, honest with what you feel. When you stop pretending, something real begins. And yes, at first it's scary, because you will lose. You will lose relationships that only worked because you carried everything on your shoulders. You will lose invitations that came with the expectation of being strong. You will lose the image of the woman who feels nothing, to become a woman who feels everything and is not ashamed of it. But alongside this loss, you will find yourself. You will remember that your sensitivity is not a flaw, it's power. You will realize that your pain was not weakness, it was a call to return to yourself, and that's where the healing begins. You no longer cry hidden away like before. Now you cry with awareness. You feel the pain and you listen to yourself. You pause and you respect yourself. Real strength is born there, not in control, but in surrender, not in forced silence, but in the voice that comes back to exist, not in being able to handle everything, but in allowing yourself to choose what truly matters. You've spent too long trying to be what others expected. Now it's time to be who you are, without fear, without guilt, without worrying if they'll understand. Because those who need to understand you don't require effort from you. They embrace you. Those who truly love you don't demand strength from you. They provide comfort. Those who are with you will continue to be even when you are down. And those who do not know how to handle your humanity never deserved your commitment. Do you realize this? Do you see how unfair you were to yourself for so long? How you demanded perfection from a woman who just needed to breathe? You have every right to change now. To say, "I don't want to live like this anymore." To look at everything they made you believe and return firmly what was never yours. The demand to be strong all the time. The expectation to always be available. The weight of being an example. You can let that go today, now, and you won't fall apart. You will finally rise up for real. Maybe you'll still cry in the bathroom from time to time, but it won't be because you feel alone anymore. It will be because you are finally finding yourself. You will continue to be strong, but not that hard, rigid strength that suffocates. You will be strong in a different way, firm but light, deep but at peace, sensitive but unafraid to show it. This is the strength nobody taught you, but it was within you all along. You just needed to stop, take off the armor, listen to the soul, and in that silence, you heard yourself. You realized everything. What hurt you, what limited you, what prevented you from blooming, and once you realize there's no going back, now you won't accept scraps anymore. You won't ask for permission to exist. You won't shrink yourself to fit into others' spaces. You will take up your own, fully, unafraid of disapproval, unafraid of being sensitive, unafraid to say, I need to. You understood that there's nothing wrong with you. The mistake was believing you would only be loved if you were perfect. But the woman you are doesn't need that anymore. She loves herself as she is, and she no longer negotiates her own peace. Do you know what's the most beautiful part of all this? It's that now, when someone says, "You're so strong," you will smile, but inside you will think, "Yes, but today I don't need to pretend to be." And that is the greatest victory. Leave a heart if you made it this far. If this truly touched you, write, "Today I choose me," and share it with someone who needs to remember they're not alone. If this video made you think, the next one will turn you inside out. Go ahead. I'll see you there.